Hey everyone, today I want to spend some time talking about transitions in writing. One of the things that I've noticed is some of you guys on an essay or writing task that we've had so far, you've had a tendency to write one big block of text. And I want to move away from that and into using multiple paragraphs to make our essays stronger and more mature sounding, and really just to help add coherence to what you're writing so that the reader really knows what it is you're trying to say. Transitions are used to connect words, phrases, and sentences within a longer work. They also link ideas from one paragraph to the next, and it's necessary to connect our ideas so that the reader knows what we're talking about. They also add coherence in writing, and they help move the reader through the piece. There's many different types of transitions. Some of them are just going to be additions and similarities to things we've already said. These help add support to what we're talking about. Sometimes we might need to show opposition or contradiction to a thing that we've said to indicate that another point exists. Sometimes they show cause and purpose, our reason for writing. Sometimes transitions offer support and emphasis for what we're saying and what we've already said and what we need to say. Sometimes in our writing we need to show the results or consequences of an action or an event. And with every essay we need to find a way to conclude and to summarize, frequently summarize what it is that we've said. Sometimes we just transition from one time to the next to order our events in a sequence that makes sense and tells a complete story. And sometimes we use space, place, and location to help our reader understand what it is we're talking about and where it's taking place. So the first type of transition I want to talk about is additions and similarities. These are the words that help reinforce ideas or express agreement with material from a previous section. One of my professors in college talked about presenting old information and new information as an effective means of transitioning from one paragraph to the next. As simple as it sounds, sometimes not only this, but also this is a good way to begin a paragraph to tie in the ideas from the last paragraph and to introduce new ones before you say exactly what they are in the next paragraph. Showing opposition and contradiction can also be very helpful. Transition phrases like, on the other hand, show that there are multiple opinions on a matter. This can help add emphasis by showing what position is actually correct or what it is that you're arguing. This is especially helpful when you're writing persuasive papers. It's important that we show that opposition does exist. We can't just dismiss the other side of our argument because we don't agree with it. And sometimes building up that argument and then proving why it's wrong is more helpful in convincing somebody of something than just telling them what you think. We can use words like but or however to do that, despite. I really like that although some people think this, they are wrong because of this, because that leaves no doubt that you feel your side of the argument is superior. Sometimes we need to show cause and purpose. These are the types of words that can be used to illustrate specific terms or intentions. They include conditions for something to be true, and etc., things like that. In the event of rain, the game will be postponed. If this happens, then this will happen. Only if this happens will this happen. Cause and purpose may be kind of helpful when you guys come to your bucket list essays, because sometimes you need to show a condition for you being able to accomplish one of the items you've listed in your list. Support and emphasis are some of the things that you guys have been talking about as long as you guys have been writing multi-sentence works. I know that in elementary school, you were told to give examples, and a lot of you guys use for example a lot in your writing. In fact, some of you guys only use for example as a transition in your essays, and while that does work in elementary writing, we need to get to where we're varying our language, varying what we're saying to add interest, to add support, and just to, like I said before, sound a little bit more mature and more grown up. Providing strong support is super important in your writing anyway, and the more specific your examples, the better. And if you use these strong transition words to get into those arguments, your reader's going to know exactly what it is that you're doing with your essay. Results and consequences are also very important when you write. Sometimes you just need to show a before and after to make your point in a specific writing situation. They illustrate the outcome of an action or an event. Conclusion and summary. I know that a lot of writers panic when they get to the conclusion, and I think we're tempted more often than we ought to be to say phrases like in conclusion to indicate that the essay is over. I know that a lot of high school writers, especially younger ones, struggle with what to say after they've said that they're going to conclude. You don't want to just write the end at the end of your essay. So in conclusion, you need to find something to say that you haven't already said before. But you have to be very careful not to bring up a new point, especially in an argument writing. Your conclusion should tie up what it is that you have said in your essay, but you do need to use unique phrasing and language to do that, so you're not repeating something you've already said before. There's lots of other ways you can introduce the idea that you are going to conclude your essay. So maybe try to use some of these other phrases, and I know we can think of some others here in a little bit. Time and order. I appreciate it when students say first, second, and third in their writing, but I do know that if you're talking to a friend trying to convince them of what you should do on the weekend, chances are you aren't going to say, I think we should play this video game. First, I'm really excited about playing this game. Second, I just got the newest edition, and I know we have time to do that. And then, lastly, nobody ever says lastly in regular speech. So make sure that you're using things that sound conversational, that move from one thing to another. I like transitions like immediately, or now, or finally, because those add a little bit more interest to what's happening, and they sometimes can add a sense of finality or urgency to what it is that we're saying. And finally, space and place. I know that, with my Southern Illinois accent, sometimes my students struggle when I talk about the idea of spatial description. Spatial doesn't mean special. Special is totally different. And just because a lot of people around here do say that, oh, he's really spatial. Spatial just refers to describing a place as it appears when you see it. Spatial description is super helpful when you're describing a setting, because you want your reader to be able to visualize what it is you're talking about, and you want them to paint a picture in their mind of what that place looks like. And so using a description that shows where everything is, how it feels when you walk around, those things are very helpful, and also another effective means of transitioning. So as we move on from here, what I want you guys to be aware of when you go into your drafts is what kinds of transitions you're using to move from one idea to the next, and that you're using a variety of the different types of phrases and words suggested in this slideshow. Happy writing! Thanks. Bye.